Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sean Alexander. Before we start the show, I got to let this off my chest. It's almost football time. Everybody's finishing their last scrimmages. Everybody's last preseason games are almost done. The game is about to really go down. Everybody get your fours in the air. It's time to finish the game.
It's time to finish the game. Let's go.
Ball, 1st and 10 at the 12-yard line of the Seahawks. Sean goes right, has a cut back lane, and he does. He's across the 20, the 25, 30, 35, 40. Here he goes. Are they going to catch him? 40, 35, 30, 25, 10, 5. Touchdown, Seahawks. What a run by Sean Alexander.
Finish the game. We're going to finish the game. Yeah, finish the game. We're going to finish the game. Yeah.
What's happening, everybody? You hear the music. We are back. This is Finish the Game. I'm Sean Alexander, and the man is with the plan, my right-hand man, Claude Jennings. What's up, Claude?
Yes, sir. I'm in our Maryland studios just outside of Washington, D.C. in Silver Spring, Maryland. Now, Sean, if it sounds like you're on a phone, that's because you are on the phone. Football season's gearing up. That means you travel a lot, man. The Seahawks games, you go to Alabama. You're somewhere right now doing something for the University of Alabama, right?
That's right. I'm in the big city of Dothan, Alabama. I'm out here with Eli Gold. They said, hey, Sean, we got 2 hotels. Do you want to stay in the big one or the other big one? And I got in here, and there's only 2 floors. But I'm here in Alabama. Roll Tide.
Which hotel do you want to stay in, this one or that one? Yeah,
that's right.
That's
the
right.
Big city of Dothan, you know.
Yeah, well, it's always good, man. You're always there doing great work. And speaking of being in Alabama, our special guest today is someone who's very special to you, and he's actually in Alabama. Now, you want to introduce this special guy to you, Sean?
Oh, I do. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am introducing the greatest recruiting coordinator in Florida State history, the greatest recruiting coordinator in Alabama history. He's been a father figure to me, to many guys from both places, the one, the only, and also high school state champion, coach of the year, many different areas, Ronnie Cottrell. Coach Cottrell, what's happening?
Man, it's great. I can't believe you're in Alabama, but welcome home, Sean.
I am, Coach. It's so good to be back here. The thing I do remember about Alabama in August is it is hot in this place.
It is. It's so humid. It's football season here, which is the greatest time of the year. High school football teams are playing their first game this week. Of course, Alabama's getting started back next week, Auburn, but and they're both in really big games, so it's just a lot of excitement, Sean. You lived here. It's 365 days a year in this area. If you love football, you'd love being down here now for sure.
Oh, yeah. Coach, a lot of people don't know your impact at Alabama and also your impact at Florida State. Just real quick, can you tell us I told everybody you were one of the greatest recruiting coordinators. Tell us your time at Florida State. What years were you there?
Well, I was at FSU from 1989 until 1997, and we were in one of the most successful years in Florida State history under Coach Bobby Bowden. And then we were at Alabama 98, 99, 2000, and 2001. 99, as you remember,
that's
we
right.
were FCC champions in Alabama, but I appreciate the compliments. It's pretty easy to be a good recruiting coordinator when you're at Alabama or you're at Florida State. Guys want to come, and we had a lot of success and a lot of blessings at both places.
Yes, sir. Hey, can you tell the world who was the best, the most successful out of all your recruits at Florida State?
The 1993 national championship team was absolutely the best team I was involved with. We also, that year, signed the number 1 recruiting class in the country. Some feel like that might have been the best one ever at Florida State. But, and of course, at Alabama, the 1999 team, in which you were our starting tailback, and we beat the Gators twice. Those were really outstanding teams.
Yes. No, that's great. So, hey, Coach, before we let you go, I'm going to ask you a rapid question, but before I start, tell us about little Daniel. You guys, you adopted Daniel, it must have been my senior year, and we've just loved him, and you guys have...
Daniel was recently 15 years old, Sean. He just turned 15. And
Wow.
for our listeners, his name is Daniel Alexander Cottrell, and he is a freshman at Mobile Christian School in Mobile, Alabama. He plays defensive end and tight end, and he's also a long snapper. And, of course, we named him after you, Sean Alexander, and he's doing great. We appreciate your influence and you being the mentor that you've been to him.
Well, Coach, you've been special to all of us. Let me write off these questions before I'm sure you're at Mobile Christian School. I know you're getting ready to go on the field today and go catch it. So let me ask you these rapid questions real quick. You ready, Claude?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Question number one: can you give us a life-shaping memory, something in your life that just shaped you?
Well, I remember vividly when my dad taught me to drive. My dad was an awesome man, and just the way he handled me, teaching me to drive, was a life-changing situation.
That's awesome. Okay, question number two. Give us your best sports moment, your favorite or most impacting sports moment.
Well, my favorite sport moment was when you ran about 25 yards for a touchdown in overtime to beat the Gators. That was absolutely my most satisfying moment because nobody gave us a chance to win. And your senior group, we'd overcome a lot that year as far as adversity, but you led us to that team. You just happened to be the one that kind of put the dagger in Florida, but that's my favorite sports moment of all time.
You know, I still remember that day hugging the players, because I remember Coach Dubose, and Coach Dubose definitely got a lot of flack over the years about his coaching abilities, and he was a great man and going through great change in his life, which was for the good. But I remember in that locker room, you and Coach Harbison, Coach Cheese, walking around saying, "We're going to win," and I just kept on repeating it. But I remember in the locker room right before the game started, he said, "Turn everything off, all the headphones, all the music, all the fans that were blowing in the locker room because the locker room was so hot." And I remember him saying, "Do you hear this?" He says, "No one knows what Alabama's about to do tonight except this room." He said, "Remember this moment." And I still, to this day, will remember the moment of the quietness before we came out that locker room, and then we just went in there and just put up a tear, and 40-39 in overtime. It was definitely a great memory for me also. Question number three.
Can I add one more thing before you go to three?
Yeah.
What I remember too, Sean, is y'all won that game when nobody gave you credit, but the first thing you guys wanted to do was get together and thank God and pray. That was an amazing memory that you guys chose to celebrate that victory and honor God by praying and giving thanks after that game. But go ahead.
Yeah, you know what? We were a praying team. That was if everybody asked me about the 99 team in Bama and even our 2005 team in Seattle, there was just clear moments where the hand of God was on us. We were a praying team, both those teams. I ain't saying everybody was amazingly wonderful in their walk with the Lord, and I'm not saying everybody wasn't. No one, but we had guys being real. I'm struggling with this. I'm walking like this. I'm going hard like this. And when you have a bunch of people being real and who they are, great things happen. And gosh, that 99 team was awesome. And you're right. I do remember we prayed in that on that field and that locker room. It was an amazing spiritual moment as well as a great victory. Question number three. Can you give us an inspiring person in your life? You mentioned your dad earlier, but can you give us somebody that just really inspired you?
Well, the most inspiring coach and the person that changed my life was Bobby Bowden. I spent almost 10 years with him. And, the thing is that just about every situation that we had in coaching, he had experienced it. He had great wisdom. The Bible talks about wisdom, and he had great wisdom on every issue. But I'll never forget, as long as I live, he always shared the gospel to our players at the start of every football season. And he literally changed my life. He was so inspirational to me as a person. Of course, I'm inspired the most by Jesus Christ because he saved us. Mm-hmm. But as far as a man here, it had to be Bobby Bowden.
That's awesome. All right, question number four. Give us a great lesson that you learned.
Oh, man. I would have to say to always trust a two-point chart. I'm kidding. What I've learned the most is that God is with us at all times. Even in the darkest times of your life, God carries us. And I think the greatest lesson is that trust in the Lord in your toughest times, trust in the Lord in your best times.
Oh yeah, that's great. And you know, Coach, there is many high school, college men, a lot of businessmen that listen to this podcast, and I echo the Coach Cottrell with this, is that, you know what, life is going to happen, and sometimes you're going to get kicked in the stomach or a little bit lower. And the thing is not to just lay down, is to actually trust God that whatever's going on, He wired you to weather that storm, and so to get back up and finish the game is a true statement. Question number 5: if you could have one life do-over, what would it be? I mean, of course, life has its ups and downs, and it's good, and you can never take anything back. But if you could do something over again and make it better or change it around, what would that one life do-over be?
Well, I just, the only regret I guess I have in my entire life is I wish I had been better as a young coach. If I had it to do over again, I probably would have done a lot of things different, really, before I understood the power we have as being a role model as a coach and being a father figure to our players. I mean, not that I had a bad experience, I didn't, but I just wish I had more wisdom early, because we have such an opportunity to change lives in this business.
Yes, that's true. I mean, I talk all the time about coaches being real father figures to people, and sometimes you just don't know, like that one word that you said to that kid changed his life forever. And also high school, college, even pro players, sometimes it's the word to that coach gives to them that actually marks their manhood. They will never lay down. They will keep on going simply because you know, their coach, their father figure told them to get up and keep playing. Question number 6. Very good, Coach. If you could give advice to a young man, to Daniel, that's by the way, with a great middle name, Alexander. Daniel, if you could give advice to Daniel about life, or to anybody, what would that advice be?
I think the most important relationship that you ever have in your life is with Jesus, and I think that you know, if I could, with my team, every team has a pair, you know, every player has a pair of shoulder pads. I just wish under that pad and that heart was filled with the Holy Spirit. My advice, though, is to form a relationship with Jesus first. I mean, it's just so important.
It is. Amen to that. Hey, you know, Coach, to just add on to that, I was just telling our kids, our little ones, before I got on the plane to fly out to the big city of Dothan, Alabama. Kids, we got an understanding of this. The relationship will always be more important than the rules, and if they get that, then they're going to be okay. We're in a society where we're taught the rules: do this, do that, do good, don't do bad, and it's all the do's instead of the be in a relationship, be one with Him, be with Him, connect with Him, and when you do, it changes. The doing becomes easier. You know, if I'm walking with Coach Cottrell onto a football field, we're going to go win. But if I'm like, okay, let me focus on making sure my steps are together, my pads are on correctly, and I focus on all these things I need to do, we might actually look pretty but never actually win the game. But if I know I got my coach here, I got my teammates here, we're going to go out here, I got my company with me, we're going to go to work, we're all going to go do it. If the relationship is set, then the actual doing, the rules of it, always take care of itself. And question number 7, give us one of your finish the game moments, one of your favorite finish the game memories.
Well, I'm going to go back to high school. Last year, my first year at Mobile Christian School, we went 2 overtimes against a team from in high school, and we beat a team that was an outstanding team. But my favorite finish the moment, of course, I said earlier, was our win in overtime at Alabama. But for me personally, recently, to see a group of kids play together and finish with a huge victory. Last year, our team won 11 games. It's the best season they've had in the history of the school in Alabama High School Association. That would have to be that game. Pretty much put us in the playoffs, 42-41 in 2 overtimes. It was just a really, really finish the game moment.
No, that's great, Coach. Coach, well, you know what? Thank you for your time. Everybody, this is Coach Cottrell. coaches, if you ever want to look up if you want to be a great coach, you should watch Coach Cottrell, how he's done in high school, how he's done at college, some of the great coaches he's surrounded himself, some of the leaders he's been able to coach with, Bobby Bowden, as I've said, and being at Florida State, Alabama. This is one of the great ones. Look him up. Watch his history. All you players, find coaches like the great Coach Cottrell, and learn from him. Get the wisdom and go finish the game. Man, it was great having Coach Cottrell on the show, Claude. He was just such a great man in so many levels for me, and just a great impact. Just beautiful wife, Miss Jean, and son Daniel. He's just a stand-up guy in so many ways.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, and it's interesting. You can just hear it in his voice how much he cares about his students, how much he cares about the young men whose lives he shapes, man, and how he just loves Jesus. And another thing, Sean, man, there's nothing like hearing a good old Southern football coach, man.
Yeah.
You hear it? I mean, he reminds me of this guy that I know, this coach in Denton, Texas. This guy Ken, who's a great coach, and just hearing them speak about just life, it just motivates you to want to do more. And I can imagine your time with him was great. What were some of the moments that you had with Coach Cottrell that stands out to you?
You know, I just remember clearly, like, him always nudging me to get around the freshmen and sophomores who were figuring out their faith. Mm-hmm. Hey, so-and-so, you know, young Andrew Zhao, he's talented. Young Sam Collins, that's the quarterback receiver. They're talented. Hey, go get around Jared Johnson, big defensive end from Florida. Man, he's so talented. Encourage them of their faith, Sean. Just keep on encouraging them. And, you know, and he didn't say go preach to them, but he was just like, man, they were like, you love God. You're a real deal. You're an All-American. Go get around these young boys that have All-American type talent and keep encouraging them to stand on their faith. See, like, that right there was so powerful to me because I did it, and I watched Jared go play many years. Then he drafted with Baltimore Ravens, and then going over to Houston Texans, and you know, he's a stud football player, and
it kind of shaped it kind of shaped the way you do things now. I mean, because you mentor tons of people now throughout your whole career, college and NFL, and I can just imagine that was probably one of the impressions that he put on you from just that young age. That you can really make a difference in the lives of many people.
Oh yeah, and and you're right. It was one of those things, like just the always being considerate of that my voice could actually stir them just the way his voice stirred mine was amazing. And so I've always been thankful for Coach Cottrell, and you know, he's still doing it. You know, again, won a state championship in high school at Gadsby, won national championship at Florida State, won the SEC championship at Alabama. You're like, you know what? For somebody not to be known, you know, you're big time. You know, and now he's at Mobile Christian School, and they're breaking all their school records, and they got a shot to be pretty good this year. I know they got a young man named Troy Young. That's the tailback. I think he's going out to Arizona, and yeah, you know, and so you know, you look up, and this is what we do. We help highlight people with potential to do great things, to keep on and challenging other people to go be an MVP in your community.
Right. And, you know, one of those community MVPs are fathers. You know, we can never, you know, stress the importance of fathers. And some folks, if they think we talk about fatherhood and being a father and a husband too much, well, we hear a lot in society about how they're not there. And so we need to hear more messages of the impact of men. And you had received a question not too long ago from an individual who listens to the podcast and wanted to know if you could talk about stepfathers and their impact. And so we did that. Recently, we were in studio when you were in the D.C. area. We were in studio, and we just went ahead and recorded that and talked about the impact of stepdads.
Oh yeah, let's play that, and everybody listening. Stepdads, you're so valuable, you know, and so yeah, let's run that.
I got an email in, and they were just talking about, Sean, you know, you always are promoting fatherhood and leadership, and man, what about the stepdads? And I just want to tell people that there has been so many great men of the neighborhood that have been father figures for so many people. And there's been so many great uncles. And I've got one to tell about Uncle Miles all the time, that Captain Uncle Miles, about being a great father figure for people. And all you stepdads too. I mean, you come into the mixed family, and you married the woman of your dreams who already had kids, and you've raised them like your own. I thank you for being a stand-up guy that doesn't think about yourself more than you think about the kid. And you two, great men all over you, and some of y'all that have written letters and talked. I give shout outs to y'all and big ups to y'all, depending on where you're from. Thank you for thinking about somebody else. Thank you for the blood, sweat, and tears of being a dad and being a father, and taking somebody that didn't come from your blood and saying, hey, young lady, hey, young man, you're special. We're going to raise you with everything we got to be an impact to the world and also finish the game. I mean, I just think that's so selfless and so special that it needs to be cheered on. You know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because sometimes people can feel out of place. You know, it can be a funny. It's a weird situation to navigate because every situation, depending on the other parent and
the other
child,
dad,
the other dad, like you got to deal with multiple personalities, some complex situations. Every situation is not the same, and so to those who are in there, and you make some mistakes sometimes, and you're trying to figure out different things, man. But just for, like you said, being there. And trying to finish that game and just being that guy, man, like you said,
it's
kudos.
Awesome. Yeah, I my wife and I, we always are trying to help marriages stay strong, stay together, help raise kids, give them the right direction for all that they're doing. But sometimes it doesn't work, and I weep over those situations. Divorce is usually a painful thing for the man, the woman, and the children. But I'm very thankful to see other men come in and do it right with their new bride and take on the kids as themselves. And sometimes the other man doesn't make it easy.
Right.
But you stepdads, you keep on plugging in. Don't step back from helping raise your stepson or your stepdaughter, especially stepsons. There's been a lot of stepsons that come in and they feel like they lost their dad from divorce. And then the new stepdad comes in and he doesn't want to raise him like he's the stepson, like he's a real son. And I think that you stepdads that are coming in and raising your sons like real sons, like they're yours, you have no idea the heart wound that you're going to heal in that young man, and also in that young daughter. I mean, there's girls all over this country that are seeking for attention that if they just got it from their dad, their father figure, that one that they know that's in the house that loves their mother dearly, if they get that, then it's going to change their life.
No, absolutely. You're listening to Finish the Game. I'm Claude Jennings. He's Sean Alexander, the 2005 NFL MVP, talking about leadership. Sean, what you got as far as leadership on your heart, man?
I was just thinking the other day that leaders have to lead, and they have to stand out in front of the crowd. And I'm kind of lost for words because I've been talking with a lot of people here these last couple of days about not knowing the truths of what it takes to be a man, and not knowing the truths of what it takes to lead. And you see a lot of marriages today are getting really just broken in half. And you're like, well, why? And I'm like, well, hold on. Why did you do this? Why did you take these steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and go in this direction? I thought it would just make everybody happy. And I said, man, okay, so here's the first thing about leadership. You ain't going to really lead if it's off of everybody's feelings and emotions.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, I mean, there's, you could take it in every part of life, marriage, work, football, whoever's calling the plays. And sorry about this, Coach Holmgren. I used to get so mad at Coach Holmgren. Hey, give 3-7 to football, all the time. And I was like that at every level at Alabama and even in high school. I wanted the football all the time. And I would be like, oh, man, give me the ball. Give me the ball. And the coach would be like, Sean so wants it. He's all fired up. Wait a minute. It's 3rd and 20. Throw the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, run the draw, but throw the ball. You know what I mean? Like there's some times where the emotions of everybody can't dictate what's going on.
Wow.
And there's some young men that are trying to lead their wives, but they're letting everybody's emotions dictate the game plan. And
wow.
And for me, the game plan has always been fairly simple. The Holy Bible, it's got a manual for how a man should lead the house, lead his wife, lead himself, guard his wife, guard the kids. And I try to stick to that plan the best I can. As I say, I was like, I don't try to deliberately be disobedient to that good book.
Right. That's not a good idea.
Yeah.
But it's funny because that is one of the hard things about leadership is when you have to make a decision that clearly may rub some people the wrong way,
yeah.
but it's the right thing to do. You know it's the way to go, and it could make you unpopular for a time. When you're in that moment, like say you've reached the point that you just talked about as far as still making the decision, and you made the decision, but now you're in that period where the decision has to prove out to be the right one, and you still get some, nasty looks, maybe some silent treatment, whether it's at home, whether it's at work, whether it's in an organization that you lead or in the community. How do you continue to walk with your head held high and continue to take the high road as you're proving this out while others are kind of having an attitude with you?
Well, you know what? I just really feel like when the tough season's going on, you got to know it's for a season. You know what I mean? Like, right. I can't go up there and get up under the weight and try to lift up 300 pounds and not think it's going to hurt a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like 300 pounds is going to hurt. But what I am trusting is that after I get used to lifting this 300 pounds, the muscles will stop aching. And after it stops aching, I'll be able to throw some people around when they try to tackle me.
Right.
It's the same way it is with life, marriage, work, job, whatever it is, those trials, that friction, that thing that's going to be a little uncomfortable, it will make you stronger. Mm-hmm. And so you got to go through the process of breaking down the thing that's so uncomfortable, knowing the fact that at the end of the day, it's going to make you stronger. It's going to bridge marriage gaps. It's going to unite dads with wives, wives with dads, kids with each other, jobs with employees. We got to not be scared of the uncomfortable feelings or emotions that happen when friction comes. And I tell you, I have to do it a lot. We sitting with a beautiful wife and 8 kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There is somebody's feelings are going to be hurt,
Yeah.
And we can't ignore it. We got to say, well, you know what? I'm going to give you all this. I'm going to give you all I got. I'm going to look you in the eye every day and every night and say, hey, you know what? This is the best I got. And I'm using this manual. And I hope at the end of the day, the Holy Bible never fails, and it won't fail me.
Right. And one thing that it takes too is focus. You know what I mean? For a leader to, because if you start focusing on people's feelings and people's reactions, that's the wrong thing to focus on. I think that there's a difference between considering people's feelings, which you have to do. You have to consider
Always.
it. But to focus on it and make it a weighing factor in certain decisions could lead you down the wrong path.
Yeah, you know what? I was eating breakfast this morning with one of the retired generals. Am I name dropping? I'm over here with one of the retired generals of God bless our country, by the way, America, hoorah! And he was just talking about being a leader, how there's just different times where you have to know when to leave and know when to stay. Mm-hmm. And he said there was some great soldiers that he said, man, I really wanted to become friends with some of the guys. Mm-hmm. But I knew that if I became friends and I tapped into that emotional relationship with some of these guys, it might damage the final product. And he says he even remembered some of the dances or some of the hangout times that they would have. Of course, they was drinking milk and cookies, but some of the events that they would have, he said, I would show up and I knew I was only going to be there 15 minutes. He said I had to leave because I knew that what they wanted to do was let their hair down. You know what I mean? He said he didn't condone letting their hair down, but he knew that he could not be the leader for them if he was friends with all of them.
Wow. Well, that's a big deal because, even when you look at parenting, when you look at mentor-mentee relationships, sometimes the nature of the relationship and the goal of the relationship is not conducive to a friendship. And sometimes in the home, a parent can't be the friend of the child because that's not what's in the best interest of the child.
Right. That's right. It's going to damage them being the leader that they need to be.
Yeah. And even in organizations, that's one of the stickiest situations in organizations or in companies is when there's a family dynamic or when there's a friend dynamic, when you're a leader and you're leading a group of people, but they're also your family or they're your friends. And it can sometimes influence the decision-making process, but you have to be able to separate that. This is the nice Claude because we're friends and family.
That's right.
This is do your job. I'm going to have to fire you.
Right.
We about and people can't separate the two sometimes.
I think every parent has to learn that there's not the job to be the friend of their child. Even when their child grows up, what they do is they become the leader of an adult.
Right.
And so this is what I had to learn with even the guys that I've mentored in the past. Like after a while, you're going to be a grown man. You know what I mean? So the first guys I ever mentored, they're having kids and shout out fellas, 13, what up? they're having kids, their wives, they're married. And so like, I can't like be like, young men, you're in high school or in college. I can't do that to them. But now like they're grown men, but like still like the friendship side of it sometimes doesn't connect because, you know, when I read the scriptures, some of these guys, my job is to watch over their soul. And so, you know, with that, I have to always pay attention to how I treat them and know like, okay, we're all going to clan and our families and our wives are all going to be one. But at the same time, I have to pay special attention to how I'm treating them in the moment.
So, yeah, we understand. All father figures are important. Stepdads, coaches, big brothers, everybody that's a man has the ability to impact a boy or a girl, a woman or a man for something that's amazing. And so with all that, we say everybody keep on going. If you think you don't have, that your role is too small, it is a lie. You're all needed. All hands on deck. Just finish the game.
Yeah.